All right, welcome, everybody. It is noon Pacific, 3 Eastern on this Sunday, October 5th, first Sunday of October. We're so glad to have you on board with us. It is time for The Master's Mind. Haven't used that one in a while. Really glad to have everybody with us. So get ready. I hope you have pen and paper to take notes because I'm sure today, like all of the other ones, Robert and Terry have great things to share with each and every one of us. So get ready because here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Terry and Robert Hollis. Oh, Robert, sorry. I guess I forgot to ask you to unmute.
Can everybody hear me now?
Yes, we got you.
Okay, cool. So David and Michael and Angela, Melody, Deborah, Jody, Karen, Bill, Ezra, Matthew, Terry, CJ. Welcome everyone to the Master's Mind. I have a really incredible a topic for each and every one of you here today. And one of the unique things about everything that I've been talking about is a lot of you know this, but I've actually decided to sort of challenge myself. I bought a new Bible, King James Version, and started going through it a page or two at a time. And one of the subjects I want to talk about today is, don't you guys think it's very, very unique that when you think of things throughout your entire life, right? And you think of things that I'm never going to do that, and then all of a sudden, a blink of your eye, you go, yeah. What I mean by that is, all of a sudden, it seems like it's going to take forever for you to graduate or leave school, and then all of a sudden, that day's here, or the day that you get a job, or for some of you, I was excited, and I'm so happy and grateful that I get a job. Right. I was happy about that because that meant money and independence for me. Some people just don't want to get a job. Right. And then that same thing that you do when you think about getting married. Some of you may or may not know this, but I got married right out of high school to a person that I didn't know. And then when she abandoned me and my son, it's like I met Terry. And when I met Terry, the very first thing that I said to her is, I'm never getting married again. Never getting married. And of course, she's a better salesperson than me. But just like having, children, I remember a time when Matthew and Hannah, when we had really good discussions with them, Terry and I, and it's like, listen, we just don't think the kids are in plan for us. You know what I mean? And now you see Ezra, and it's like, I don't think that Matt and Hannah or us can imagine not having him as an addition to the family. It's like, what the hell were we thinking? And so, one thing I want each and every one of you guys to understand as well is, you go through life, and I always tell people, it's amazing how we say to ourselves that things are going to take forever. Things are going to take forever. And it's funny that David, put his video on here. We can see you, David. And it's like, one day you told everyone that, I don't need to do camera. When I first got involved in marketing, I told everyone that I was going to go to the top of the compensation plan with never ever getting on stage. And I had a mullet and, beard and mustache. And I was just like, I'm never going to ever put on one of those monkey suits. And then all of a sudden, there's something that seems to change in your mind very, very quickly. And so, as all of us see people throughout the world that seem to really look at the world as being, incredible, like, Albert Einstein again, either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle, right? And so, for those of you that have been to church forever and also done, all kinds of stuff with the Bible and listened to sermon after sermon, in Genesis, the story of Joseph, and I know that I brought this up before and Deborah went, wow. But, here's a guy that it was overexcited about life. And so what he does is he tells all his brothers, I think there was a total of 12 or whatever, but all of his brothers were mad at him because he wouldn't shut up about his imagination. That, all these things I'm going to have and all these things I'm going to do. And, his father was even upset with him. And he just would not stop sharing his imagination. Well, if everyone's like, oh my God, we got to feed the cattle and the sheep, we got to go do our errands, and this is all it's ever going to be. And he's like all jacked out of his mind. And so his brothers decide to trick him, and they go to another faraway land. And he gets up in the morning and his brothers are gone. He says to his dad, he says, where's my brothers? And he said, well, they took all the cattle and the sheep to this area. So they went there. And while it took him a while to get there, their whole entire goal was to kill him. They were sick and tired of him having this amazing dreams and imagination. Can you imagine irritating someone, always talking about what you're going to do in the future? Who are you? You're just like us, right? So as they're planning to kill him and throw him into a pit, a Pharaoh and the Egyptians come by. And so what the brothers decide to do is sell him into slavery. Is this crazy? So I'm still trying to imagine in my mind that conversation where you got 11 of your brothers all saying, listen, he's always been a slave and we're going to sell him to you if you don't kill us, right? So the story goes is now Joseph is with the Pharaoh, and because he's got this great attitude and he's always happy and he's so, oh my God, I'm blessed and highly favored and deeply loved and I'm connected to this higher power. The Pharaoh's like, man, he's got a great attitude. He's a good servant. And so he just keeps giving him more and more power. And so here's two groups, that don't get along, but the Pharaoh liked Joseph so much, he kept promoting him and kept promoting him and kept promoting him. And so the next thing that happens in the story is that all of a sudden, his wife, the Pharaoh's wife, tries to get him to sleep with her. And he's like, listen, no, I love the Pharaoh. I don't know what you're doing. So she gets upset because he turned her down and basically said that he tried to rape her. So now the Pharaoh's mad and throws him in prison. So now while he's in prison, he has favor with all the people that are running the prison. He's got his own, for a lack of a deal, he's got his own AA meeting while they're prisoners, the prison people that, the guards start liking him. The head person starts liking him. And then the Pharaoh had a bad day and he was mad at the baker and the chef. So he threw them in prison. And so they just think, well, life's over. And of course, Joseph starts saying, hey, listen, I had a dream about you guys. Don't worry. He's just a little upset. In 3 days, he's going to know that you guys cook good for him, and he's going to bring you back. So when they get back, they start telling the Pharaoh about this guy that interprets their dreams. And they're like, who? And it's like, Joseph. And he goes, oh my God, I miss Joseph. So the Pharaoh had a dream. And what he did is he brought all the wisest people to him, people in religion and all this stuff, and brought all the people, and none of them could interpret his dream, and he got mad. And so the baker said, Joseph could do it for you. So then he brings Joseph in, and Joseph basically says, hey, listen, I know what you're dreaming. There's going to be 7 years of incredible abundance. But during that abundance, we need to save a lot of it every year because we're going to have 7 years of famine and everything is going to be destroyed. And so the Pharaoh puts him in charge of all this. So now he goes from prison to being in charge of making sure that they, preserve or have enough grain, have enough everything during these prosperous 7 years. But also what he did is because of the prosperous years, He actually got everyone to work more than they normally do. So he knew during abundance that, this is when, you should put your feet to the fire because this is really going good. All right. So then the famine hits. And his brothers and his fathers don't know about this 7 years of famine. And so then what ends up happening is they have to go to Egypt to buy food to survive. And so when they come there, they don't recognize Joseph at first. And he's like, hey, listen, take the money that they did, put it back in their bags. He gives them their money back and food. Are you guys listening to this? And so they go back, and then all of a sudden they run out of those rations, and they came back. And during this time, Joseph made the Pharaoh way, way richer than he even imagined, because all the people in the areas around first had to give money for food. Secondly, they didn't have any money left, so they had to give all their cattle. And then the famine went for a few more years, and everyone had to give them their land. So now think of this. All around Egypt, the Pharaoh now owns all the land, all the cattle, and now he's got everyone that used to have their own land and cattle working for him. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you think the Pharaoh liked Joseph, right? And so Joseph then talks to the Pharaoh and says, listen, these are the brothers that sold me into slavery, and I want to take care of them along with my dad. And he's like, why would you ever want to take care of people that were trying to kill you or are evil? Why would you do that? And here's where, renewing of your mind is. Joseph looked at him and said, you don't understand. It was part of God's plan for me. So if they wouldn't want to kill me and didn't trick me and didn't think about killing me and then sold me to the Pharaoh, then none of this would have happened. I would have died with my family when the famine happened. Now, how many of you can look back at everything bad that's happened to your life? Because I don't think anybody really, really puts that into picture. So how many of you would feel a little betrayed when you found out that all your siblings and your parents wanted to kill you? Jody goes, well, I definitely can. I got it, right? And then, so not only are you sold into slavery, but how much betrayal would that feel? And you immediately don't have any family, and now you're a slave. How do you keep the right attitude where every day is awesome? I used to say this all the time, is you get these people and you listen to them that are prisoners of war. And there's only two kinds of thoughts. One, I'm never going to get out of here, and you're in despair, and you basically just melt away and die. And then the other person that's sitting over in the corner, and they're like, what's wrong with you? And he goes, nothing. I'm excited. I was just thinking about all the stuff I'm going to do the day I get out of here. And that is always the person that's sort of the nut, right? The weirdo. And so the story ends where the Pharaoh says, of course you can. And I think it was a total with the wives of the brothers and the children of the brothers. It was like a total of 70 people in the family that he just took over, gave them land that Pharaoh gave to them, and just took care of his family forever. And he says, this wouldn't have happened to me, and I wouldn't have had this favor if I didn't constantly imagine what was better for me and my family. So what I wanted to share with all of you is just the thoughts, because there's stories like that when I sort of look back, and I've heard this. I remember the first times that I heard it, and we talked about forgiveness and, taking it a step further, like we've talked in the past, about how do you think and forgive the people in your past? Because again, if that didn't happen to you, you wouldn't be the person you are today, right? But then to look at everything in your past is wow, a higher power was basically directing you. I know one thing as I'm sitting in front of you guys today that I'm not what would I'm alive. I'm alive and happy, so I got through everything that might have been bad. And me and Terry always had this conversation because, when we got married, she wanted a family, so did I. And, she got an ectopic pregnancy. Well, it was hard enough for her to get pregnant already. And we had been, trying to figure it out. Then she has an ectopic pregnancy and almost dies. And so it just how that all came about, and we go to this hospital that we looked at that didn't have any emergency stuff, and it was shut down. And it just happened to have a guy there that was him and his wife, and one of them was a surgeon, and another one was an obstetrician or something, an OGYN, a pediatrician or something. But all she can remember before she bled to death and they did stuff, is he could just remember the wife wearing pearls on her neck.
And she had a red dress and he had a pink bow tie.
And so, that story is so crazy to me because I rushed her in. She had passed out.
On the toilet.
Yeah. And I went to pick her up, not to be graphic, but when I picked her up, blood just flew out of her. And so I took her to the hospital and I knock on the door and they answer and they were just there for a conference. It's not like an ER.
It doesn't have a trauma center.
Yeah, no trauma, no ER, nothing. And so we brought her in. Well, the doctor asked permission for me to say we need to do I said she's pregnant. And he said, well, let me do a vaginal ultrasound. And then while he was doing it, she's passed out, And as he's doing it, he goes, I can't see anything. And I said, that's what the doctor said. And he cussed at me. He said, what effing doctor? And I said, she went and seen a doctor this afternoon in Simi Valley. And he goes, Robert, the reason that you can't see anything is because your wife's internally bleeding. She's been bleeding for hours. So no blood pressure, no nothing. So they gave me her wedding ring and said, it's code blue. And so they went in and worked on her, and she was intensive care for a long time. And it was like, so right after that happened, the first thought that maybe Terry and I could have is, well, if we couldn't have children before, we're just going to be okay. And now Terry 1000% believes that not only did they go in and save her life, but they repaired something that maybe was blocking it. And today we got that guy up there, Matthew. Which, of course, led to Ezra. But, you look at things that happen in your life and you just go, man, as they're happening, there's always this thought of why us? If there's something higher out there that's taking care of us, why? Why does all this awfulness happen, not only to us, but others? You know what I mean? And so it's just...
Sorry, I was gonna say he can see you guys. Mom, he can see mom waving and stuff. So he's like,
so the point of me talking today was really, really simple for you to do a couple of things. One is, can you go back and reframe? All right. So in anything to do with psychology or psychiatry, the goal of somebody to help you is to go back and look at something as you look as awful, that, oh, why is me, and victimhood and blame game and all of this stuff. And what if you could go back and reframe it so that it didn't give you any trauma or anything? And then you could actually look at it as, wow, this happened for me, not to me. This happened for me. This is part of my journey. And when you think of any hero's journey, Joseph Campbell wrote a book, you'll always see something that really, really, really usually traumatic happens. And any story for the person to basically say, I'm not living life like this anymore. I'm done. So in the story of Star Wars, you know, did Luke Skywalker's uncle and aunt, did they really have to be killed? Right? So he doesn't know where his mom and dad is, doesn't know who they are. And now he's living with his, aunt and uncle, and all of a sudden they get killed. And so this is the perfect time where he goes, okay, I got to go on my journey. So if you look at any story, you'll usually see where something happened to actually tell the person, well, you know how long it's going to take me to change? Right now. Right now, I'm drawing a line. I'm not acting like this anymore. I'm going to change the thing in my life, and I'm going to do it forward. So for those of you that are really, into the Bible or other stuff, Mom and I was watching today where, a deal on Sunday. I know some of you guys watch Sunday morning, but it was really interesting. You always got these people that are seekers, and seek and you shall find. And it talked about Cat Stevens, where all of a sudden he was looking and he ran across the Quran. And so he reads the Quran, decides to convert to Muslim, and part of the Quran is music. The thing that created him is like devil. It's like, so to think that he dedicated himself to be a Muslim, renamed himself, and just stopped doing music. I mean, wow. But he's back. So that was a few years there where you have to sort of go, okay, so I tried that. That wasn't it. I tried this, whatever, right? And so, there's this concept that a lot of people understand. And maybe, Craig can talk about how this, when you have holidays, the one thing that I do know about the Jewish belief is that they dedicate days to renewing your mind, renewing your year, renewing your commitment to kindness to others. So all the things that are really important, like in the golden rule, there's holidays set to say, well, listen, I'm no longer going to look at the year of the past. I'm going to look at the year of the future. And this is how I'm going to commit myself to living that better life. Yeah, I must have been listening, Craig, when they were talking, huh?
Well, if I may, Robert.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. We just, of course, for those of you who do not know, we just celebrated Yom Kippur. And essentially, Yom Kippur is also known as the Day of Atonement. So it's exactly what you were talking about. And, the fact that Melody brought up the Ho'oponopono too.
Yes.
Because that whole concept, and it was like, I was looking through it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is Ho'oponopono too.
Yes.
The fact that you're asking for forgiveness, the fact that you want to say, thank you for what you've given me, and asking for love of God. And when you ask not just, and from a Yom Kippur standpoint, it is in a religious way of asking God for forgiveness. But also there was something that I posted in my Facebook page. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it because it also is the same thing. Let me see, where is that? Because I got to get over there. But it's also along the same lines as asking for forgiveness. So the four mantras: I'm sorry. You ask for forgiveness. You're sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you for allowing me to be who I am, the opportunity. And then I love you. That is Yom Kippur in a brief nutshell. But prior to Yom Kippur, because that is deal with God, you also want to have others forgive yourself. And so there was a thing somebody came up with, and I don't know who did it, but it's, to those I have wronged, I ask forgiveness. To those I have helped, I wish I did more. To those I neglected, I ask for understanding. To those who have helped me, I sincerely thank you. And and so Yom Kippur is asking God within the 10 days of the start of the Jewish New Year, which is Rosh Hashanah, asking to be sealed in the book of life for another year.
Wow.
And so, yes, we have to. The point is, and if you read the what is the section of the Torah or the Bible, the Old Testament at that time, it says you are to give something up in order as your sacrifice, because back then the sacrifice was more of two goats, and actually that's the story of where the scapegoat comes from.
Oh God.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
really interesting. But so instead of doing a sacrifice, what we as a Jewish people do is we sacrifice drinking water and eating food. Unless your health is involved, then that is kind of a forgiveness. But for the most part, you're supposed to give up something very near and dear to you as part of your repentance on Yom Kippur. And so you fast from sundown of the first night of Yom Kippur until sundown of the day of Yom Kippur. Because according to the Bible, a day is sundown to sunrise to sundown. That's the way that it is in Genesis. So
Got
that's
it.
how in the Jewish tradition they count a day. You may see a holiday on the day of, but it actually starts the night before.
Got it.
So
Well, thank you for sharing that. Again, you know, I just need everyone to understand that there's other two other things that I think is amazing too is the day that you want your new life to begin. I sometimes say this to Terry and she just giggles. And I just say to her, I said, man, I said, I'm just really, really, we're really happy and blessed that this is the first day of the rest of our lives you know, and it sounds like corny, but one of the things I don't think that a lot of people do that live a religious life is one is they don't do what we just talked about is I don't know how many times if you pray that you have to keep asking forgiveness for the same things that you think you did wrong in the past. So a lot of I've met a lot of people through breakthroughs where it's impossible for you to feel worthy and feel like you're enough and feel like you're a miracle if you keep thinking that you're the exact opposite. You know what I mean? That you're a bad person, that you're a lazy person, that you've done a lot of bad things and who could possibly forgive you, including you. So a lot of people can't move into a new area of their life, like where it talks about being reborn. You know what I mean? And then there's a lot of aspects that also talk about renewing of your mind, that you're a new creature from this point on. And so one of the things that I know a lot of people and other cultures do is that was supposed to be a big thing around New Year's, right? What's your New Year's resolution? What do you plan on doing moving forward? And I just wanted to tell each and every one of you that, your entire life can change very, very quickly if you only believe that it can happen quickly. You still have to believe. So there's a lot of people that regardless of what I'm telling them, they're like, okay, that's going to take a lot of work and that's going to take a lot of effort. And I got a lot of old habits and stuff that I do. And so this new me is going to take forever. How long is it going to take me to go through videos? How long is it going to take me to do this? How long is it going to take me to do that? It's really simple, just a decision and the belief that you can do it. And so another part is just reframing from that point forward, everything that's happened in your past has happened for you, right? So I just thought I'd share that with you guys because I know that's a lot of common stories. I will share with this, and if anyone wanted to say any questions or just add or whatever, again, the title for Sundays is Master's Mind. So that doesn't mean me. That means all of us. So. Um, but a lot of people they have a lot of difficulties believing that they're worthy, that they're enough, that they're a miracle. And you will always see, like even Jim Rohn, one of my favorite mentors, he said that, his life changed the day he realized that he lied to a Girl Scout. So if you guys know anything about Jim Rohn, he hears a knock on the door. He's not paying attention. He opens the door, and there's a Girl Scout asking him to please give money to buy Girl Scout cookies. And he said, I already have bought some. I already got some. And she goes, well, thanks for supporting us, and then left. And as soon as they left, he goes, of course they're not going to have girls knock on the same door over and over and over. He goes, it's like these girls are doing this block and these girls are doing this block, and they're systematically going house by house. He goes, not only did he feel awful for lying to her, but he knew immediately that the girl treated him nicely because she knew that he lied. And then just the embarrassment of all the decisions I made up to this point, that I don't have any extra money to buy these cookies. And he's going like, I'm not living like this anymore. I'm done living the way I live right now. And that's when everything in his life changed. Of course, like me, as soon as you make that decision, you seek and you shall find. It didn't take him long before he got introduced to Earl Schoaf, that ended up being the individual that said, here's all the stuff that you need to change. And so, I hope that each and every one of you know I do my best to try to be that for you. I know that most areas of my life, if everybody was doing that well, they think that their lives are done, when I want to do more. And that's including unlimited wisdom. So, Craig, that's all I have to say. If anyone wants to say any thoughts or ideas, I know that Master's mind is very unique. I know that some people will, go, no, I got the message. I need to renew myself and go to work. But if you have any questions, Craig, I'll turn it over to you and we can go from there.
Sounds great. If anybody does have something they'd like to share, a question, please go ahead, raise your hand. Again, how you do that. See all these beautiful faces here on the screen. Look down below, put your cursor in the middle of the screen. There's a button there that says raise hand. Click on that button and we will call on you when we receive that. If not, we're going to go ahead and finish for the day. But I see Bill Shoemaker put his hand up. So, Mr. Shoemaker, where are you? I know you're there somewhere. Okay, I don't see your camera on. I know it is, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you to unmute and please share. And then, somebody else's hand went up as well. Melody Ryba. So, Bill, there you are. I gotcha.
Melody.
Let me focus up on you. There you are. So go ahead, open up and please share with us, Bill.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Robert, for that wonderful Bible message. That was amazing. It's like, I can't believe that you actually read all that and then told us the story.
Yeah, it's
so I can.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm surprised myself with, and I was telling Terry this, is like that's like one of two or three stories in Genesis, right? And I'm like going, wow. So not saying that being a pastor or a priest or a bishop or any of this stuff is lighthearted at all, but I just said, I had this epiphany or this aha moment that wow, I could read the Bible and summarize the story and tell that story through myself and other stories, and in a blink of an eye, you're I don't know if I need to go online and get my pastor certificate, but no, I'm joking. But go ahead, Bill.
Well, that's an incredible gift that you got there, for sure.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, storytelling is just very powerful. So I can relate to the story in my own life, where I went through a period where things weren't so good, and my family did want me dead or in jail.
I hear you.
And I had to go through a period of forgiveness, which I learned through the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, which is kind of the same spiritual principles as the Bible, same thing. But I'm at a stage in my life now to where it's all's been forgiven, and I just want to give back to my family.
Right.
And so I just wanted to say I can relate to that story of the Bible.
Well, thank you. Bill said something to me because, there's a lot of us probably have this thing in their mind where, now that you're going to turn the page or start a new chapter, whatever thing you're going to talk about, is, you sort of look at your past and it's just like, how could I make amends? Why would anyone care? You know, and my Bill basically shared with me, the scales of balance, that the Lady Justice, blind Lady Justice said. And he said, all I can tell you to do is just do your very, very best each and every day of putting stuff on the opposite side of the scale. Just what if it's possible to get the scales of balance to start moving a little bit and then actually getting even and then actually going all the way the extra direction. So then all the people that, there's probably some people in my past that will never forgive me for stuff that I did. But that doesn't stop me from putting stuff on the right side of the balance, right? And
Right.
it's the funniest one that I always have is to think that one year I was written up on the paper of my hometown of Williston, North Dakota, in the '80s, as having the Williston's biggest beer bust. That Robert Hollis was arrested for, stealing this beer truck and having this party and delivering, stuff to minors. And I even can remember my uncle where I threw the party on his property in his big, 3-stall garage. And I didn't even know this, but what immediately happened was he lost his home insurance, for allowing a party. And when I talked to him later in life, I went, yeah, I'm really sorry for that. And he goes, I was with the same guy forever. And he says, I lost my home insurance. So now it forced me to go look for better home insurance. And I got it way cheaper, and I was going like, I really thought that, and so you think of those things, Bill, and it's like, no, for you and for whatever you believe, just each and every day to just be outgiven on that other side. Just knowing that you can't wait for the day where it's, well done, good and faithful servant. And so my biggest one is getting written up in the Williston Herald with the story in it. And then like 3 years later, almost to the date, I got written up on the paper for being on the dean's list of the North Dakota State School of Science. So it's like,
Amazing.
so I'm sure that there was a lot of people that still said, well, I don't care, but once you turn that to be able to go, okay, I did this much effort to be destructive in my life. I can again, proclaim your uniqueness and in everything, just consistently go the extra mile. And so, yeah, I already know what the subject's going to be for next week. You know what I mean? It's like, this whole concept of, through a lot of beliefs, this constant habit that people have of just getting by with the bare minimum. You know what I mean? Laziness and procrastination and distractions and all of these things that we do each and every day, that just never ever, because we're not neutral. We're not a neutral. Everybody wants to say they're a neutral, but each and every day you're not doing what you're supposed to. You're going further behind. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
a
look at
stage.
them.
There's a stage 5 clingers
Oh.
right there.
Yeah.
They don't know that. They don't know that they're not lap dogs.
It reminds me of my old buddy Chance that I took care of.
But
Yeah.
thank you, Bill, for sharing that.
Yeah.
I believe in you, man. I believe in you.
I know you do, and it's powerful, very powerful. This group is very powerful. Unlimited wisdom is incredible. It's going to change a lot of lives.
Yeah, and to think
For
that I
sure.
procrastinated for 24 years on that. That's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now
I'm
is the
sorry.
time.
Please forgive me. Thank you.
Yeah. Use the power of choice.
Yep. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Love you, man.
Love you too.
Bill, thank you so very much. What a great share. Appreciate that. All right, let's go over to Melody Ryba, whose hand is up. Melody, there's your unmute. Please open up and share with us.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Oh my goodness, Robert. This story, um, I remember reading it to my children when they were little.
Oh, wow.
We used to have, our family little Bible study. It was not long. We would just take something and do that with our kids as they were growing up. And we found this book called The Purpose Driven Life. And it had like little
Which
questions.
pastor wrote that?
I, I can't remember off the top of my head. I don't know if
Yeah.
it was
The guy in Orange County, I
Warren.
think.
Was it Rick Warren?
Yeah,
Craig, I know
you're-
you
Yes,
can
Rick
find it.
Warren. Rick
Good.
Warren.
Wow, my memory brought that back. That's huge. So we used to do this as a family together, and just little, scriptures and questions and answers. And it was something that we did with our kids growing up. But this story, thinking back on it after all of my life experiences, this is what it brings to me. It really shows me Joseph's ability to trust God despite betrayal,
Yeah.
right? And I know we've all experienced what we feel might be betrayal from somebody in our lives,
Hell yeah.
but regardless of those challenging circumstances, his continuance of practicing forgiveness was truly inspirational to me. His ability to do
Yeah.
this and to keep his integrity
Just to
throughout
consistently
all
just
of
go,
it. Right.
so all right, I've already had this imagination and dream, and I know it's going to happen, and I'm going to be looked at as you know, one of the most prosperous people in the world. And he was number two next to Pharaoh that he made rich.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got all this land, you got all this cattle, you got everyone coming from all these different countries, that you're keeping alive. That was one of the things that, he said is that, based on his ability to be focused, he was able to feed millions and millions of people and keep them alive.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so my brothers tried to kill me and then sold me into slavery. I guess this is supposed to be the plan. I don't know too many people, Melody, like you said, they go, oh, it made me just immediately think of that. You guys heard the story of the two twins, right? And one had an incredible positive mental attitude and the other one was negative. And so what they decided to do is parents decided to, see if they could mess them both up to get them to switch. And so they've both been asking for a pony. And so when their birthday came, they said, let's go outside. And they pulled this pony out of the horse trailer. And they said to the negative boy, they go, listen, we got you a pony. And he's like, well, who's going to take care of him? And I don't want to have to pick up the poop. And I don't want to do this. And I don't want to do this. And his brother took off running back into the house because he opened up the door and they took his room and they filled it full of horse manure. And he just jumps in and starts throwing it out the window, digging through it. And they walk in and they go, what are you doing? Your room's full of horse poo. And he's like, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere.
I love that story.
It's like-
I want to be that positive person
Yeah,
all the
it's like-
time, looking for the pony. Yeah.
And don't they have a lot of cool sayings for that? Like, the silver lining in every cloud and all this, they have all these incredible sayings that, one person looks at it as a positive and the other person, or a majority of the people, I'd say the majority of the people just goes, oh my God, we're going to die. You know what I mean? I guarantee you none of the brothers and the father went, well, maybe that brother that we threw away that I was always imagining found a way out of slavery and actually figured out how to put a bunch of stuff in storage so we could keep our 70 family people alive. You know,
You know,
so
there's something that I always remind myself. Whenever there's something in my life that I don't see a whole lot of good in, right? Which might be an instant, that's not good, or
right.
that's not something positive, that's not something I want in my life. I always say out loud to myself, look up, look up, because that's where the silver lining is. That's where the lesson's going to come.
Yeah.
That's where we can see further than just right around us. Or like used to call my trouble bubble, like I could never see out of it. But if I look up, I can. And that's what keeps
That's
me,
good,
you
Melody.
know, in a good place. And, all of it, all of this goes back to just the gratitude that we
Yeah.
can carry with our lives. And if we stay, how important that is. Because if we are grateful for those things in our lives all the time, just keep reminding, I mean, look around and, you hear the kids playing, all of the things.
Yeah.
It
There's not a
helps us stay
doubt.
focused on looking up.
Yeah, is not a doubt that the greatest miracle in the world, that book and reading the God Memorandum, that's the thing that it taught me. It taught me that if each and every day that I was just thankful for all the little things that everybody else doesn't even think about, whether it's your ears or your eyes or your smell or your taste or your ability to touch. It's just phenomenal how it goes through and teaches you how to have gratitude every day. And
Right.
and so, you get up with a little bit of gratitude and a little bit of thankfulness, and it's like you can switch that day. It's funny throughout the whole story of Joseph, I don't ever recall it ever saying he had a bad day. But, you know, he almost got killed. Got sold into slavery. Uh, then, he gets betrayed by the Pharaoh's wife and thrown back into the. So, his life was pretty amazing before the wife, said that, hey, this guy tried to rape me. And then the Pharaoh throws him back in prison. It's like all he did was tell her no.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now you lost everything and now you're in prison again. It's like, hey, no problem. It's like, there's got to be a pony in here somewhere.
I love that. I love that full circle, Robert. You're
Thank you,
amazing.
Melody. I love
Thank
you.
you so much.
You bet.
Melody, thank you so very much for sharing. We got two other hands that just came up.
Okay.
Jody Falcon and David Ponciano. Jody, you are first, so please open up and share. David, you're coming up.
Hey, everybody. Hi, Terry. Hi, Ezra. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Craig. Hi, everybody. Melody, I love the trouble bubble idea. I'm keeping that in mind for sure. Robert, the synchronicity of your story today about Joseph and the conversation I had just this past Thursday with my neighbor. He's maybe 50 years old, beautiful family, blah, blah, blah. And he asked me to come over to talk about the whole process of making a will and everything and what I did with mine and blah, blah. So he says to me, well, you're certainly not going to give anything to Frank and John, my two kids.
Right.
They've betrayed you, they've disowned you. And I just looked at him and I said, why wouldn't I leave something to my children? He says, you can't do that. I says, well, it's done. They're going to get a nice chunk of change. I guess I'm Joseph.
Yeah.
Love my children. I'll always be their mom. And that's pretty much the end of that. It's pretty simple. And it's also part of there's another story of in the New Testament where Christ turns the other cheek. And it's not turning the other cheek to get slapped.
Right.
It's turning the other cheek to change your focus, to look away from whatever crap is going on in your life,
Yeah, it's that one thing that, that's saying I don't know where it came from. Um, but it's like the whole concept that as long as you harbor, you know, uh, revenge or ill will on somebody that hurt you, it's like you're just drinking the poison, trying to get them to hurt. The only person that you're hurting is yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And so, there's I'm sure now as I continue to read, there's going to be these stories that I never it's crazy that you guys um how long I've been who I am and never ever heard of the story of Joseph's story because I'm not a churchgoer. I didn't go to Sunday school. I don't know where you would hear these stories. But um, like always, I've always felt that, I have this ability to be able to use analogies or parables. I know I would just say parables, but that would offend somebody. They wouldn't want to listen to me but I'm always finding ways to get downloads and give someone a theoretical example or something where they go in their mind, wow, that's right. I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Or I wouldn't feel that way. So I'm proud of you, Jody. That's
Oh, thank
there
you.
there's a lot of people that I know throughout their lives that whatever for whatever reason, all of a sudden they do, the person doesn't have a great relationship with their children. And unfortunately, that's their decision. You know what I mean? It's their
Yeah.
decision, their perception, the way that they looked at whatever happened, and unrealistic expectations. There's all this stuff where I still run into people that say, you have a reason, to hold ill will against your parents, and
Oh,
me too. And it's like I'm going like, well, I'm not going to carry that.
yeah. And for both of us, Robert, I mean, you know, childhood that you and I have had to endure, I wouldn't change a single second.
Not
I
when you
wouldn't
look
be
at
here
it.
right now.
That it's pretty interesting that the first story that I really got into for the Bible wasn't the first chapter, or the first book of Genesis, and it was the Joseph story. The
Yeah.
only other thing that constantly came up through the whole book of Genesis is I always had heard this phrase but didn't really get it, but they were going like, oh my God, how ruthless and how ruthless and just destroy everything God is.
Yeah.
People
It's
go as
it's
people
pretty
can say as
violent.
you go through the Bible, it's like he
Oh,
wasn't a very good guy, right? And then, but isn't it funny that no one ever talks about how awful the people were?
that's it right there.
It's like he's going to destroy a city or he's going to flood everything, and it's always these people that are dear to God that dedicated themselves to God, where they come to God and say, "Hey, listen, it can't be that bad." And he's like, "Okay, because you and I are close, go find some people. Go find some people. I'll let you save them. I'll give you whatever amount of time." And then they come back and go, "Yeah, you're right." It's like, and you know what I just had download to me right now is watching the world right now and people not understanding how people could be so evil and lost.
Yeah.
I mean, you watch and you're going like, wow, I just I don't get it. Well,
But that is a choice.
yeah, I guess I'll never get it. I'll be like Joseph. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna do my best to do the best for me and my family, and hopefully the millions that not hopefully the millions that I get connected to in the future, and just make a giant impact on them. I can only pray for those that feel like the whole world's against them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you got to pray for people. It's like, I can't imagine getting up every day or maybe not having a good night's sleep, really, really believing that a group of people or the internet told me that someone was out to destroy me and the people that I love all day. And we're seeing glimpses of this in the United States. And then what? Got 2 days and October 7th coming around. And it's like, you see people that just have these crazy thoughts in their head that we just need to go over to people that don't believe the way I believe, and let's see how many we can slaughter. It's just like, I'm like, what?
I know. But
Yeah,
see,
it's
it
so
doesn't compute for us.
no, and it never will. It never
Right.
will, and nor should it. Nor should it.
That's
'Cause
for sure.
there's this whole group of people that go, well, are you just going to sit around and allow this to happen? Um, yeah, yeah, because I have a plan for the people that I can affect.
Exactly. That's
Um,
why we turn the cheek and
yeah,
we refocus.
yeah. I love that story where, people go, I want to change the world. And
Okay.
people say, well, you can change the world by changing you. And once you change you to a point where everyone looks at you and goes, wow, there is a different way. There's a different way to act. There's a different way to think. There's a different way of having blessings. There's really, really a different way. Well, that can make an influence on your family. That makes an influence on your neighborhood. That makes a difference in
Mm-hmm.
your city, then your state or whatever, Providence or wherever you live. And that's how you do it. You don't do it by um, shooting each other.
Yeah. I walked into Walgreens this morning and the cashier, I see him a lot, of course, he yells from his cash register. He's with a customer, yells over to me walking in. He goes, "Oh, I'm so happy you're here." And I'm just,
Jody,
what is it? You just feel somebody's energy, and
yeah, I like making people smile as well.
isn't that the best?
It is. Thank you, Jody. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
sharing. I
Thank
love
you
you.
all so much. Yay, David's up.
Love you, love you, love you.
Jody, thank you so very much. Great share. All right, yes, let's go over to David. David, there's an unmute button that should appear on your screen. Go ahead and click that, and we're bringing you on the spotlight.
All right.
I didn't know that you were a Golden State fan.
Now you know I
That's awesome. That's
Sure.
awesome. See, you thought I was going to say something. No, I loved watching them play, man.
Yeah, actually I grew up in Oakland.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow. So that
Yeah,
would
so
you do it for sure.
but this is really quick. Robert, I'm on the streak, so I want to keep it going.
Proud of you.
But actually, when you went through the story, and it reminded me of not just you, but of Ray Hayden and Wayne Dyer, because they had similar with their dad or their uh, parents, and wow, how they came through it, and how your story that was like, yeah, I mean, that's really, and I guess the real lesson is about forgiveness, and
It
that's
is.
what I would been holding on to. Is my dad? It was an incident long time ago, about 100 years ago. That we're about the same age, Robert.
There you go. Yeah.
But anyway, so that's what I learned, is that forgiveness, and it just whatever happened, and that he didn't know better, and I was young, and blah blah blah, and okay, just gotta learn from it. And he it was just an incident where he he kind of yelled at me, and I wasn't expecting it, and from that point on, it kind of affected me mentally, that I keep going back. And then and then we had a bad relationship, and it was really challenging to be around him because he would always he would yell,
Right.
and he would just yell, and wow, I took it very personally, and then anytime he said, anything he tried to he tried to get me to do stuff to be more productive because I wasn't. I was kind of just not really stepping up, and he wanted me to be successful, and that's why I think that's why I'm resisting it, because he wanted me to do it. So no, I don't. Okay, that's what he want. No, I'm not. I'm totally resisting. But that was just his way of saying, challenging me to just
Yeah, not to give anybody a pass anytime, but it's like when you sort of look back at any kind of pictures, there's not a lot of pictures, but I the pictures that I have seen, and I look at my parents and how young they were. I'm just like, oh my God, talk about clueless. No one gets a manual, no one gets a parent manual, no one gets
yeah,
a spouse manual. You know what I mean? It's like and we all know that, when you're dealing with alcohol or whatever, it's like it's just when Terry and I watched Mad Men, is that what it was called?
With John Hamm,
Yeah.
back in the 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, but you watch some kind of documentary that's back in the 60s or whatever, and it's like just, hey, it didn't make a difference if it's a morning or afternoon. You walk in, it's like, hey, you want a drink? Yeah, of course I want a drink. It's like, did these people just drink alcohol 24 hours a day? And if they were sleeping, they weren't drinking. But it was just like, man, everyone was smoking, everyone was drinking. I was like, my dad was a truck driver. So, it's crazy that, he didn't kill himself or kill others. And maybe, I don't know, maybe he did. But it's like just nuts to constantly be that drunk and driving a giant semi truck, full of, pipe, oil filled pipe. Golly, man, I'm just going, what? And so yeah, I totally get it, David. And it's not giving them a pass, but just not allowing how they treated you, because it's probably twofold for you. It's like when someone is doing their best, or we think they're doing their best, trying to get you to do stuff to make you
you're
more of
right.
a man or whatever. It's also the lack of telling him having ever said, I'm proud of you.
Hmm.
I love you. I'm glad that you're my son.
Right.
And I'm really sorry that that didn't happen for you as well. It's like you go through and it's like, geez, all I wanted is to make my dad proud, or make me know that that he was glad that I had him. You know what I mean? When most of us go, is like, listen, you're really a pain in the ass.
Mhm.
You
But
know,
actually, Robert, he showed love in a different way. He actually bought me a house,
Oh my. Wow.
and that was your. But then I wasn't good with finances, and uh, it didn't. Well, I didn't actually benefit. I mean, he actually bought me a house, and so he showed love in a different way. But
through gifts
anyway,
and stuff like that. Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing how I wasn't even that I was still no, I was but still that was on me. That was on me.
So
Uh,
you look like you might have looked at him buying the house of you for you as another way to control you.
yeah, well, I don't know. Looking back now, I would say it was he was showing me love, and like maybe saying, okay, yeah, I screwed up, and this is how I'm paying you
Yeah,
back. I don't know
you're never
because
gonna
it's
get
been a while.
you're
It's been
never
a
gonna get a
while.
house on your own, so I might as well help you out.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah. But still, I wasn't good with uh, how to be a homeowner. But anyway, that's another story. But
Yeah.
but also uh, Terry, your dogs. And one thing I used to be scared of dogs, but we have a next door neighbor here. Every time I take out the trash, it gets really crazy barking, and you know what, Robert, that does not faze me at all. I mean,
Good for
I can
you.
just be totally calm, and because uh well, it's okay, it's on the other side of the fence, right? So there's no way it can get to me. But
Yeah.
But
the
animals
thing
feel
is,
your energy too. So
before I used to be scared of dogs, but now I know the dog, I think, is really saying, I'm scared of you. That's why I have to bark.
Yeah, I know that if anyone ever heard those funny deals out there about what dogs are actually saying when they're barking,
Yeah.
and it's like, it's just funny. It's like, hey you, hey
Mhm.
you. It's like,
David, come pet me,
yeah,
David. Come
yeah,
pet me.
yeah. It's like I'm right here. I'm right here. It's like our dogs when we go to take them for a walk, they just
Uh-huh.
go bananas. They know when we're thinking about doing it, and we don't
Mhm.
have to say anything. And it's like, come on, hurry up! Come on, hurry up! And that's just a bark. It's like,
Oh,
come on, hurry up! And it's like, geez, we're right here. It's like,
okay.
well, David, thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, Robert.
And I'm
Thank you.
proud. I'm proud you're on camera again. What is this? 3 days in a row?
That's what the street keep it up. So okay, I'm putting I gotta put a notch. just like in school. Yeah.
Star up there.
Yeah,
Keep it going.
absolutely. You deserve a star. You deserve a star. I'm proud of you.
Okay, no, thank you, Robert, for everything.
You bet. We love you. We love you. Thank you for
And thank you, Terry.
listen to what my wife said
Me,
about
me and Terry are gonna get along because I can talk.
I like monkeys too.
tell him
I said you look great on camera, so get that out of your head that you don't look good on camera.
Oh, thanks, Terry. That's what I gotta. But sometimes always that Dino or that
Yeah.
keeps coming. They'll come back, but
just
okay,
just
yeah, I just gotta
Let
keep
Dino pull him and drop kick him out the door.
yeah, David, do you swear?
You do say
Do I
bad
swear? Not really. Oh,
Okay.
I mean, wait. I mean, if I, oh, I
The
don't
only
know.
reason
If
that I
could
said that
swear, I
is you
would be,
just
but
have to tell Dino to shut the F up.
oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sometimes
yeah, okay.
the reason that I asked if you swore is
Uh,
that might not work for my wife because she's okay with that word all the time.
I'm a very fluent swearer.
You know what I mean? So she would have to tell Dino something different other than that word because that would just be her normal language. You see what I'm saying? It's like,
okay, Robert. Yeah, actually, that's a good. Well, I'll try it.
yeah, and
But I think
and just hope that your neighbors don't think you have Tourette's. You know what I mean? You're walking around, F you, Dino, F you, shut the F up. And it's like, oh my God, did David have Tourette's? What's going on? What's going on in that house over there?
Okay, Robert. That was a good one. Okay, a
All
different.
right. Make you smile while
Okay.
you're making the corrections. So, Craig, let's go ahead and get people back to their Sunday. Love and appreciate each and every one of you. What a great, great master's mind.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And there's a few things in the chat. If you want to download that information, go ahead in the meeting chat, click the three dots next to where it says Master's Mind, click Save Chat. It'll download to your computer once we're done. Got to give shout outs to our participants today: Bill Shoemaker, Melody Ryba, Jody Falcon, David Ponciano, Big shout out to our executive producers, Matt and Ezra. Hollis, thank you guys so much. Of course, to Terry and Robert Hollis for being our master's mind for today. And thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us. Don't forget, tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, Mondays, recess. Got that coming up. Then Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Daily Wisdom. Thursdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, breakthrough sessions. And then we're right back on Saturday with Ask Us Anything at noon Pacific, 3 Eastern. Lots of great things happening every single day here in our great Unlimited Wisdom community. You guys help make that happen. Thank you so very, very much. So, until next time, please be good to yourselves. Be cash. Bye-bye. I'm going to ask everyone to unmute so we can all say so long and have a fantabulous Sunday.
Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy your week.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Mary, Matt, and Ezra,
guys.
Karen,
Love
Melody, Coach Bob,
Adios.
Michael and Angela,
Great
Deborah,
day.
Bye.
Jody,
Have a
Bill,
great day.
David, Terry, CJ, hostess with the mostest.
Bye, Terry.
Hi, guys.
Bye-bye.